To our next story. Nearly 150 people are missing and several are dead after an Iranian warship sank off the coast of Sri Lanka on Wednesday. The frigate, Dena, issued a distress call following a reported explosion, and Sri Lanka's Navy rescued 32 sailors. However, hopes are faint for the 148 others still missing. The ship had been travelling after participating in a military exercise in India. The Sri Lankan Navy deployed rescue operators with craft and air support, but the ship had completely sunk by the time they arrived. The Ministry of Defence says the search continues, but fatalities are expected. Joining us again live, we have Sol Sadka, who is a political commentator in Tel Aviv, Israel. Now, Sol, it might be a surprise to our viewers that an Iranian ship would be off the coast of Sri Lanka. Of course, they were doing an exercise with the Indian Army. Who do you think has sunk this ship? Of course, it's very far away from the conflict right now in the Middle East, but somebody must have shot them down, surely?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. It's the first I heard of this event. It's breaking news. It could be anyone. It could be the Americans. It could be the Israelis. All of these people have the wherewithal to attack that frigate. They are certainly within their rights to do so. The frigate was clearly sailing back towards Iranian waters after their exercise. I assume it was in international waters. Sorry, an alarm just went off there. The loss of life is unfortunate, but that's the risk you take when you get involved in the Navy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You are liable to pay with your life. And that seemed to be what has happened here. But again, it might not be that anyone attacked it. The Iranian Navy is extremely incompetent, and it could simply be there was a weapons explosion. It could also be sabotage. Anything is possible. We know that a large percentage, some single-digit percentage of all Iranian officers are cooperating with foreign intelligence in one way or another. And so it could be many, many things.
Okay. And now just turning your perspective again to the region, this ship was between India and Sri Lanka, I understand. What's your perspective on Iran's relations with Asia in general, especially with India? Of course, India has a large expatriate population who have been affected by the strikes, not only in Israel, but also in several of the Gulf states. And so what is your perspective on how this war could affect relations in this part of the globe?
Right, it's very interesting. When you look at the maps of the Iranian missiles and their ranges, the entirety of India is within Iranian missile range. The fact that India was doing naval drills with them is peculiar when you think about it, because after all, there is no one who hates Hindus more than the people who run Iran. They view them as heathens and in a very negative light. And they were building weapons which they could have one day used against them and would not have hesitated to. So in any event, all this is basically moot at this point, because the Iranian naval drills end, and that will probably be the final Iranian frigate, the final IRGC frigate ever to sail the world's waters. The entire Iranian Navy is currently at the bottom of the sea, or will be within hours probably. Their entire air force is gone. And whatever comes after in Iran, whether it be a new regime or just a severely weakened and humbled version of the Revolutionary Guards for some period into the future, it's not going to matter. Any relationships, any international relations that they have with other people are going to be meaningless, and any trade flows, for example, the oil that they ship to India and China, is only going to be mediated, if it happens at all, it will happen mediated by the United States and the Gulf Arabs. So all of this is moot these days. It doesn't really matter what relationships they had in the past. Everything shifted on Saturday.
Of course, we will see a very large shift in relations. Sol, thank you so much again for coming on our show. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Very pleasure to be with you.
Now, as we move to our next story, a Russian drone struck an empty passenger